Hello, everybody, and welcome into another season preview show here at the Hockey Writers YouTube channel. I'm your host, Matthew Zator, and we are up to the Pittsburgh Penguins as we continue counting down the days until the regular season begins. We've got Jordan Orth here, who, if you've been watching all these previews, you just saw him on the Red Wings one. So we got the Pittsburgh Penguins. He also covers the Penguins here at the site. Jordan, how's it going?
Great. Like I said, getting ready for hockey season. It's getting a little exciting, getting ready for the season, and it's been a long summer.
It has. It's been very lagging and not much news. I think it's probably the quietest off season. I don't know. I don't want to say experience to my life, but as far as back as I can remember, I don't know. Off season.
Yeah, they all talked about it's going to be a busy off season. Where are the moves? Where's all the fun stuff happening? Where's the offer sheets?
Nothing. It's just absolutely nothing. The first week we had a little bit free agency, but again, all the big names were off the board. So really, there wasn't much to go on there either. Right. And trades, we might see some in training camp preseason here, hopefully. But a lot of the teams seem to be set on what they have, and we'll see how it goes. And we'll see how the Penguins do, as they might do some stuff this season, because there's been a lot of rumors about trading some of their guys. But we'll talk about the guys they have right now. And we'll start with their forwards. Of course, the Penguins are not the contenders they used to be. They're more in, I don't know if the bad word of rebuild is in the vocabulary of Penguins fans right now, but seems like they're trending that way.
Yeah, it's more like a retool on the fly.
Retool. Yeah, it's probably about that. But Crosby's still an elite guy. So we'll see how it goes. But they did add a couple forwards. This guy, Justin Brazeau, Anthony Mantha. Again, these two aren't needle movers. Mantha didn't play most of last season because he was hurt really early on. But he comes in, supposedly healthy. What do you think about these two guys coming into the lineup?
Well, you look at someone like Brazeau, he's going to be more like your energy. He's going to be an energy guy. Like I said, just brings a different dynamic. He can kind of like a Blake Lizotte type of guy. Mm-hmm. He can bring that bottom energy and he brings some scoring. He can do a little bit mix of all of it. If you need him to, you can slide up and down the lineup. Can do all kinds of things. And then you look at Mantha again. Like you said, health has been the biggest issue for him in his career. Back to being drafted by Detroit, there was plenty of hopes and expectations. Like, okay, this guy could be that next big goal scorer for somebody. And he just, between the injuries and again, shows flashes of having that offensive skill set, but just hasn't been able to live up to it. So, I mean, he's definitely going to be a guy who's probably going to be coming into the season. If, like you said, if he's healthy, great, because he's going to have something to prove on that 1-year deal. He's going to be another guy that's, okay, I got something to prove here. 1-year deal. I want to prove that I can get a 3-year deal and become the player that I need to be, whether it's a third line player, bringing some secondary offense, being able to play a physical game, being as big as he is, or say, okay, Dan Muse wants me to play with Brian Rust and Sidney Crosby tonight. Let me go out there and help these guys set up some goals and bring some top line offense to the team. But he's a big, I don't want to say question mark, but kind of, because you don't know necessarily what you're going to get with him.
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing is the health, right? And he did the same thing in Calgary, coming in 1-year deal, and he's like, well, I'm going to prove something. And even Flames fans are like, great. Well, he does well, trade him at the deadline and get something really good.
Right.
He gets hurt, and then for the rest of the season, done. So, I mean, they lost an asset like really early.
Yeah, I think it was sometime in November he did that. So it wasn't a whole lot of time to enjoy that new shiny toy they got. So.
Yeah, I mean, he could have done something too. I mean, he does have some offense in his game, and it's just that health. If he stays healthy, he might be a pretty good asset. Again, he might become that for the Penguins. Trade him at the deadline for something. Might end up being a first-round pick. You never know.
Right.
So, because he still has that ability to score 20 goals, but he has to be in the lineup to do it. Right, forward group. Now, the rest of the guys, of course, you got the main guy, Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin. Their eras are starting to wane. They're not, there's probably a few more seasons left of them in the NHL, but there's been the talk of Crosby getting traded. So that might be the biggest burning question going here. What is the biggest ones going into the season?
I think, like you said, the Crosby situation, they did the annual go out to the season ticket holders to do their whole thing. And he was asked today about it. He says, look, I'm where I want to be.
Yeah.
I want to be in Pittsburgh. So for now that kind of puts it back onto the back burner, but there's always that talk like, okay, is he really going to stay in Pittsburgh, or can he go out to Colorado and play with Nathan McKinnon? Can he go where he could go anywhere? I mean, it really comes down to what does he want to do? The team's not going to just say, oh yeah, you're traded to so and so.
Yeah.
Even if he waives no trade clause, you're not going to do that to. You wouldn't do it to Mario Lemieux. You're not going to do it to Sidney Crosby. So
yeah,
I think that's a question that's always in the back of people's mind. I think you look at, like you said, their era is starting to end. What players are going to be the next era? Is it going to be a Rutger McGroarty, a Ville Koivunen? Can those guys make an impact on the roster this year? They both showed flashes of it last year. Koivunen had the 7 points in 8 games at the end of the year. McGroarty, he got sent down at the beginning of the year, but it was what he needed, I think, because he went down to Wilkes-Barre and found his footing and started to pick the confidence up and play better. So do those two guys either play top 6? Where do they fit in? Do they make the roster even?
Yeah. That's going to be a big thing, right? I mean, obviously you have no one in right now that you can say they're going to replace Crosby and Malkin.
Yeah, it's not. There's no. I don't think you can look at anybody. There's not a whole lot of players you can look at. Maybe outside of like a Connor Bedard that you can compare. Okay, maybe he could come in and maybe he could fill most of that. You can't just say, we're going to replace Sidney Crosby next year.
No, it's not happening. I mean, that's very wishful thinking. I mean, these guys are generational talents. It's not happening. But I mean, they're still here, and I mean, Crosby's still a very productive guy for what is his age. I can still see. I mean, he can still be putting 70, 80 points. I mean,
I think that's that 80 point range. Let's go 87. He likes the number 87. Let's go something like that. Make the fans happy, make it a little fun thing for everybody. So
yeah, I mean, I don't see him getting traded this season.
No, I don't see it happen. I mean, he was kind of the next one after Lemieux. Lemieux come back. Yeah. He learned under him.
Yeah.
I don't see how you can trade him. I just don't see how it even.
No, he's playing out his career in Pittsburgh. I mean,
there's nowhere. I don't see it ever happening. So.
No, I mean, if it does end up, I mean, he goes to free agency, he might sign somewhere else. But
right, yeah, you're not gonna do that to the fan base and have them revolt against you. So
no, no, he's in Pittsburgh for sure. All right, shifting to the defense. This saw quite a few names that I may have not added them all because there's some guys that I'm like may not make big impacts. But Connor Clifton, Matt Dumba, Parker Wotherspoon, Alex Alexiev. These 4 guys, I mean, again, not big names, but who do you see maybe making the biggest impact of these 4? You can talk about all 4.
I mean, like you said, I mean, you got Clifton at the trade. You traded who'd you trade for them? Can't remember who they traded to Buffalo, but they got him at
Timmins. There was another Timmins. Yeah, another Connor. Yeah.
I was going to say Dewar. I'm like, no, they brought him back. But I mean, he's not. He's going to be a veteran. I mean, your defense is going to be pretty veteran laden outside of maybe someone like Harrison Brunek or Owen Pickering maybe making the team, but I think he doesn't put up a whole lot of offense, but I think Parker Wotherspoon, he just brings a little bit of that nastiness.
Mm-hmm.
He shows that he hasn't done a whole lot, like I said, at the NHL level production wise, but you can have someone on the back end that's like, okay, you're not going to get through us as easy as you have the last few years because the defense has been not so great in front of the goaltending they've had.
Yeah.
So I see what Dubas is doing, trying to see, okay, can we get some veteran pieces in here that can kind of be the stopgap for some of these younger kids that are coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, like you said, they're not going to be world beaters by any means, but they should be at least serviceable and solid defense.
Yeah, Wotherspoon, I think, was really good for Boston in that. I believe he played even in the top 4 at times. So, I mean, there's a guy that, I mean, Boston wasn't the best defensively last season, but I mean, Wotherspoon, I think, stood out in the games that I saw Boston. I think he was, at least he stood out in the games that the Canucks played them, only twice, but he seemed to stand out.
He still stuck out.
He stuck out to me, what I watched. But yeah, I think he could end up being a bit of an underrated guy on defense. So for sure. Now, for storylines to the defense, I want to have this in here because you got guys like Erik Karlsson and Chris Letang. Karlsson's been in the trade rumors. Do you see that happening as being maybe he get traded?
I think if the biggest thing is Dubas isn't going to take less than what he wants or what he values him at. So if the deadline comes around and someone's offering what he's looking for, then yeah. And obviously if that's where Karlsson wants to go. I think there is a good chance that they do move him before the deadline. They could even move him before the season starts. He's another one kind of like Steve Yzerman. You don't really know what you're going to get till something kind of happens.
Yeah.
He kind of keeps things tight to the vest, which again keeps everybody guessing. It's kind of fun. But I do think there is a solid chance that he does end up in a different jersey by the end of the season, whether it's they retain a little bit of the contract or maybe take a tad bit less or even attach something to him if you have to. But I do think he ends up probably outside of Pittsburgh by the end of the season.
Yeah, I see that. I mean, he's still, again, a really good offensive defenseman. Teams have won him. It's just that money is still a big deal.
Right, and you got to have the right defense and team around him to I don't want to say overcome the lack on the defensive side, but you kind of do because you got to have a defensive partner that, okay, I know he's jumping up into the play. I got to man the fort, whether you get a forward covering for him or you got to have the right situation for him. So
yeah, he needs a Chris Tanev with him all the time.
Yeah.
Jacob Slavin, those types of guys, which, I mean, obviously there's not a lot of those guys in the NHL, but pure offense, but he needs a guy to kind of always be back there when he does make those, not always good decisions.
Right.
All right, looking at the goaltending, which saw a new face, Artur Shilov's coming in from the Vancouver Canucks. I know him very well. I wasn't a fan of the trade, but I saw why it happened. Tristan Jarry, I put him first because I did. But I mean, I don't know if he's the starter because he didn't really showcase that last season. But according to salary, he is. So what do you think about this tandem going into this season? They got a couple good goaltenders in the minors as well, which might enter the conversation too.
Right. Yeah. I mean, ever since he signed that extension, that was one of the first big things that Dubas did was he gave him that extension. He just hasn't found that consistency like they wanted him to take over the reins and, be that guy who could be, not saying a Marc-Andre Fleury, but be a goalie that they can consistently count on for years to come. I think that's going to be a big thing for them this year if they plan on staying out of, I don't want to say the cellar, but they're going to, I think in my mind, they're going to be towards that bottom quarter of the league. If at worst, if he's not able to play at the top, at the level they want him to, someone like Shilovs or like you said, a Joel Blomqvist could come up. He played last year, granted. He looked all right. The numbers didn't really show it because again, the defense in front of him not the greatest at times, but he's a player that he knows again, kind of like other teams that you've got prospects that are pushing for a spot. So you got to prove that even as a veteran, you still got to prove that you're going to be the guy that they want you to be and that you are deserving of not just the spot on the team, but the money that you have on your contract. Yeah. So if he struggles, I think Shilovs, he's shown in the little bit of time he's played in the NHL, you know him way more than I do. I think he's shown at times he can be a starter that you can count on, but it's just if he does get that starting time, he's got to find that consistency with his game.
Yeah.
And after how he played for Abbotsford, it gives some kind of hope that maybe, okay, he can build off of this and come into camp and push for that starting spot and really put the pressure on Jarry. But it's really a question mark going into the season on, okay, who's going to be the long-term or the season-long 1A goalie.
Yeah.
So you don't really know 100% what you're getting out of either of them at this point.
Yeah. It is a big question mark. I think that's probably, I probably just gave it away, but it's probably the biggest question mark going into the season in our quick fire. But I think he has shown it in the NHL in the playoffs. He was when they had injury problems with Demko and he had to be number one. He was shoved into that role in the playoffs of all places. And he ended up winning a series, had a shutout in the game to clinch the series against the Predators. And then he was okay against the Oilers. There were times where you're like, he's showing his inexperience and stuff like that. But then, he ended up, with Lankinen coming in, he ended up being kind of pushed aside as the starter.
Man out, kind of.
And then Demko came back, and then he was pushed back to the minors. And like you say, he kind of just took over that crease in Abbotsford, and it was just lights out in the playoffs. That Calder Cup run, his numbers are ridiculous. So, there's a reason he was the AHL MVP of the playoffs. So he has the potential. One issue that he's always been showing in the NHL is his lack of from distance. He allows goals from way back at the blue line. We're like, you're not supposed to let those in.
How does that go in?
No screen, just goes in. His puck tracking has got to get better. But I think if that improves, he's great. He's athletic. He doesn't have he's not the biggest goaltender, but he's very athletic in the crease. So I think he can be a starter. It's just that biggest thing, because if teams figure that out, all they'll do is just throw just anything from distance. And they're like,
no dumping. We're just going to fire it on them.
Yeah. So, that can't be something that becomes something of a book on, because I don't think he's lasting. But if it does improve, and that hasn't shown in the AHL, which is weird. So I don't know. We'll see.
It's all a psychological thing.
Yeah. In the NHL, it seems like it's an issue, but when I've watched him in the AHL, I don't see that. So I don't know. It might be something that, I don't know. The NHL is a different animal too.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But definitely, I think he has the potential to take over the job. And he's got a big opportunity in Pittsburgh. Wouldn't have had in Vancouver with Demko and Lankinen locked in for the next 5 years.
Right. Change of scenery could even do. He could I don't even want to say give him the confidence, but it gives him the thought in my mind, like you said, okay, I've got a shot here to become what I want to be.
Yeah.
Be that number one guy, and if he, like you said, if Jari struggles, he knows he's got the opportunity and he's going to have to seize it. Because like I said, you got Bloomquist and you got Sergei Marashov down in Wilkes-Barre or Wheeling, wherever they put him at. You've got kids that are going to be pushing for spots.
Yeah.
So
he's going to have some competition, and Jari as well. That's that these two guys, they're not solidified.
No.
Right now they are, but yeah, we'll see how they perform. Probably the whole season will be just to kind of push back which guy is going to be the guy, if any of them. All right, let's move behind the bench. It's another big change. New head coach for the first time in a long time. Mike Sullivan's been behind the bench for far back. It's been a long time. So new coach to the NHL, because Dan Muse has never been a head coach in the NHL. Most of his stuff's been done in USA Hockey, which very good. What do you see his impact on this team?
I think he's going to bring some different philosophies. It's going to be kind of like it was with the Red Wings with Todd McClellan coming. It's a new voice being heard in the locker room. Different ideas being tossed around. It's not going to – Sullivan was a great coach, but it got to the point where, okay, you kind of know what you're going to do. At least with Muse, you might get a little wrinkle here and there kind of. And I think you're going to see the growing pains. Like you said, he's a new NHL head coach, never done it, but I think he's going to bring some different energy, philosophies. I think it's going to look a little bit different from how Sullivan coached. I'm not going to overhaul anything with the veterans you got on the team, but I think between that and I think the fact that he's had the track record of how he's worked with these younger kids, I mean, he's got the ties to McGroarty. I mean, he's helped develop a lot of kids, like you said, at the U.S. program and stuff like that. So does he look at some of these younger players and say, okay, we're kind of in a position where we can throw these guys in a bottom six role. We can throw a McGroarty up on a line, possibly with a Crosby or a Rust, and throw Koivunen in somewhere and see. It's going to be, I think it's going to be a feeling out process with where you're going to throw guys. And it's going to be a learning curve for both him and the team before everything kind of comes together in unison, basically.
Yeah. I see that. I think the biggest thing is the young guys, like you said. There's going to be a lot more opportunity, I think, for the youth to really get in. And I mean, the Penguins actually have a few guys now. I mean, their farm system has notoriously been not the best over the last few seasons, but it's been the last couple drafts. They've really added a few guys.
Dubas has done a very solid job in the draft since he's been the head man with everything. I mean, you look at the guys they got this year, 3 first-round picks, and Zanin, Horkov, and Kindle. All three guys that could, the different levels, have a impact on the team, whether it's a couple years down the road or 4 or 5 years down the road to see how they all develop. But they've rebuilt that system, whether it's through the draft or the trades, like with Gensel trade, getting Koivunen and guys like that. I mean, he's done a pretty solid job on the fly of bringing guys in and through the draft, getting more draft picks and stuff like that. He's done really well at getting that restocked up. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, Muse might have a few more young guys coming up, because I think he's going to be the coach. I mean, when you bring in a guy like this, you're not saying he's 2 seasons done. Right. This guy's going to be probably growing with some of these young guys. So I see him going to be, working with a lot of this in the next few seasons. So definitely giving him some more ammo to work with. All right. Looking at the division now, again, Penguins aren't up at the top anymore. They're, I don't even know how to say the middle. So where are they? Are they in the bottom? Or they go there?
I think they're gonna probably be either right there at the bottom or maybe a spot or two above. Even with guys like, you look at your Rusts, your Raquels, your Crosbys, Malkins, all those guys that can produce, there's no guarantee all of them are going to be on the roster by the time the season's over with. Yeah, like you've heard there's been rumors back to the draft of, well, do they trade Rickard Rakell? Could you get something for him? Even at the deadline last year, do you possibly trade a Brian Rust? I mean, you don't really know what's going to happen now until the trade deadline. And if they are in a position to sell guys off, do you do it, or do you hold out hope that, okay, maybe we can make a push? But I think they're going to be in that position where they're going to be towards the bottom of the division and possibly end up selling off a few more guys and adding those assets that Dubas loves the draft picks. He's got plenty of them, and he's going to keep adding, I'm sure. So, yeah,
there's a few veterans that are definitely going to be on the trade block and has been talked about ad nauseum because we have nothing else to talk about. Who's going to trade it? And nothing happens, but there's been a lot of guys, these names have been in the trade rumors. So definitely there's going to be more young guys being put in the lineup, which means, and of course we talked about the goaltending not being, we're not sure. So, I mean, that might end up being a problem. So, I mean, I think they're probably around that bottom area, unfortunately, but I guess you can't always, rule out them being a good team because Crosby's on the team. So, I mean,
you still got these guys that want to win, and they're going to do whatever they can to. So that's going to keep you probably out of the dead last spot. But again, you got to have the right supporting cast around all of them to take that to the middle part of the division. So
for sure. And there's a lot of, talk all the Metro division previews were like, it's a very interesting division. There's a lot of teams that you're like, I don't know what's going to happen with the Rangers. What's going to happen with the Capitals? Are they going to be like last season? I mean, there's a lot of question marks. A lot of the teams, probably the Hurricanes is probably the only one that doesn't have one of where they are, because all the other teams are like, you're not sure what New Jersey, are they going to be as good as last season? there's a lot of interesting dynamics in this division. So, I mean, the Penguins, you never know. I mean, it could end up being a surprise, but we'll see. All right. I mean, alluded to this. Is it the biggest question mark? Is it goaltending, or do you have something else?
Yeah, I think between the goaltending on what it looks like and who ends up being that true, I don't want to say true because wouldn't say that at this point. Who ends up taking the reins as the number one by whether it's mid-season where they say, okay, this is our guy, or they just kind of more or less 50-50 it and see, okay, who's going to give us the best chance on this night against this team, and what is he against these guys. But I think that's going to be one of them. And I think another one, we were just talking about the veterans and the trades, who's going to be on the roster come post-trade deadline.
Yeah, definitely the two biggest ones. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. A lot of these guys, especially as you head to the trade deadline, I mean, all of these teams, they're going to want guys like that. So, I mean, I feel like they're going to be off the roster at some point.
Right. I mean, it really all depends on the market too. I mean, if it's a buyer's market, then maybe, you hold out if you got a guy that's on multi-year contract. I fully expect someone like Mantha, like we talked earlier, if he's healthy, I fully expect him to be somewhere else by trade deadline.
Yeah.
But you look at Raquel or Rust, I mean, they're not necessarily gone at the end of the season. So if you can hang on to them and maybe come draft time, somebody wants to offer you a little bit more, you never know with these guys because you can't get inside their heads too much. They don't want that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, those again, there's a big thing with those two because they have term on their contract. So I mean that does throw a wrench into things. While Mantha, 1-year deal, he's a rental. So I mean, there's a guy that definitely would be on the block, but those two others, there's going to be some different things in play. So yeah, they could be left until the draft to see they can go there. All right, breakout stars. Now, so many young guys on the team. So I mean, there could be some multiple candidates for this one.
Yeah, I think if they give both Rutger McGroarty and Ville Koivunen, actual legit chances in the top 6 of the lineup, I think one, if not both of those guys have the chance to become or show the flashes like, okay, we can handle this. I think you look at those two, they could break out. I mean, you can even look at maybe even someone like Harrison Brunick or Owen Pickering. If Pickering, I mean, he looked good when he played last year when he was in the lineup. But, I mean, if he can take over the reins, he's a solid two-way defenseman. He can chip in in the offensive zone. He plays a strong defensive game. So I think if he makes the lineup with how crowded that defense is, it might be a tad bit harder. But like we were talking about, maybe Muse wants to give these young kids a shot. So I think you look at potentially those 3 guys. I don't want to say all 3 will or could, but those are the best options probably for any kind of breakout star right now with the veterans they have, with the couple that they could have youngster-wise to crack the lineup.
Yeah. I mean, you could probably pick the guys that are going to be playing with Crosby. So whoever gets that chance
right.
for most of the season, I think that is probably your guy. And I think it was Koivunen, I believe, showed some chemistry with Crosby.
Yeah, they played together at the end of the year, and he didn't look out of place. I can say that. He looked really good on that top line. So
yeah, so he might be the best candidate right now. I'll throw in Shilovs as I'm potentially being
can't forget about him.
So I mean, I feel he could, especially if he takes over the starting job and gets a lot of the starts. So definitely there. All right, who do you see needs to bounce back this season?
Overall play, I think Chris Letang. Yeah, he's getting up. Obviously, that he's part of that aging group, but they need a little bit more because he wasn't even necessarily great defensively. He's not obviously going to be known for his defense. He's kind of, I don't even want to say he's offensively get known more than that too, but he just needs an all around just a solid bounce back year to help that core kind of tighten it up and play a little bit better in front of that goaltending. You could even look at Jari. Jari needs a bounce back, but he's needed that for the last couple seasons in my mind. But you can look at those two guys. I think if Letang's able to bounce back, it does help that defense out quite a bit, and it trickles down to the goaltending and all that. It just kind of all goes hand in hand.
For sure. I mean, Jari, I think he might have been in this category last season. I don't know.
I think that's where I went with it last year. So I didn't necessarily want to go 2 years in a row the same guy, but
yeah, and no, I say Letang probably as well. I mean, everyone was worried when Carlson came in that he was going to be in the shadow, that he was like, oh, he's not going to get as much. And that might have been a factor in it. But I'd say Letang definitely probably fall into that. All right, what do you got for an X factor?
Goaltending.
Yeah, that's probably we've mentioned it many times.
Goaltending and defense.
That's all I really say.
Because they're a team that has the weapons offensively. You have Raquel, you have Brian Rust if he stays healthy. He's shown that he's a very solid contributor. You've got Crosby, you got all those guys, mix in the young guys. If you can get better defense and goaltending, it might give you an outside shot of being, I don't want to say a fringe playoff team, but you could be in the hunt come deadline time. So then it puts a wrench in, okay, like I said, do we sell these guys off or do we make a push for the playoffs?
Yeah.
Not saying it's going to happen, but
goaltending would change a lot. If it's solid, even average. I mean, even average goaltending, average consistent goaltending makes a big difference, especially in a division the way it is. I mean, right now, that could be the difference for, usurping some of these other teams. So, yeah, that definitely could be an X factor. It's definition of an X factor, actually. So.
Right.
All right, looking at rookies, prospects. Now, I don't know if these are going to be surprises because there's going to be a lot of opportunities. So, but do you see anyone that might be a guy that you're not really expecting to even make a push?
Like you said, there's not a whole lot that might not be expected, but you look at someone like Harrison Brunick, who last year he caught a lot of attention from, granted Sullivan's not on the team anymore, but he opened the eyes of Sullivan and the coaching staff last year and Dubas. He went back to Kamloops. Granted, they didn't have the greatest of teams in WHL last year, but he was someone that when you watched him, he was the guy who stood out, whether it was defensively or, I mean, he's got the skill set to play the offensive zone, activate from the D. From the point, he's an all-around two-way defenseman who can, I think if he has a strong camp, really push for a spot on the roster. Granted, again, they have a log jam at defense with the guys they brought in, but I think he has every chance to make the team if he has a strong camp.
It would be a surprise because of how much of a log jam there is for the veterans, right? If you're putting those guys on waivers and stuff like that, I mean, if he pushes and shows that he's ready, I mean, that could end up happening. All right, prospects to watch. Now, there's a lot more now because the Penguins do have a pretty, I mean, I don't want to go as far as strong prospect pool, but a better one. So, who are you looking at this season?
I think one of them for me is to see how Tanner Howe comes back off the ACL injury. After getting picked in the second round a couple of years ago, people were kind of excited to see what he could do. Being in Regina without Bedard on the roster with him, how is he gonna elevate his game? Is he gonna become a guy that could be a piece that for the long-term future? And I don't want to say he hasn't played well. He just hasn't taken that developmental step that everybody kind of hoped he would after even getting traded to Calgary last year. He looked solid, but wasn't asked to carry the load because he had guys like Ben Kindle and you had talent on that roster. They were making moves to try and make a push for the Memorial Cup, like every other CHL team tries to. So, I mean, he's definitely one for myself. I'm going to watch closely because he's obviously going to probably be in Wilkes-Barre. See how he adapts to the pro game and how the integration is. If he can gain the confidence fairly quick coming off the injury. I think you look at someone like him, and I think you look at one of the first-round picks from this year. You look at Will Horkov.
Yeah.
He bigger than his dad. He's a big kid. I think if he can go back to Michigan and develop his game, that pick at the end of the first, towards the end of the first round looks really good because he has the tools. He's just got to put it all together and kind of, he's just got to find his way. He's a young kid. So if he's able to figure that out, I think he could carve out I don't want to say a future right away. I mean, he's still a few years away. Obviously, you never know what you're going to get out of a kid you just drafted outside of someone, say Matthew Zator, or even the guy behind me, Michael Misa. You know, I mean, you never know what you're going to get until they get to the NHL. I mean, Bruce Boudreau said it. I mean, prospects are prospects. You don't know what you got with them until they finally play. So
yeah, 100%. I mean, I've liked Horkoff. I think he could end up being something, but you never know until they end up heading into the NHL or even to the pro game. You see in the AHL how they adapt to that, and you start seeing maybe a bit more of that potential. But yeah, I've liked him. I think it was a very good pick by the Penguins there too. So definitely got to watch. And he's of course in a great system in Michigan, one of the best. So definitely in a good place going into this season. All right, a quick, probably as quick. Who's leading the team in forwards and defense this season?
Overall points it's gonna be 87. I think he's gonna carry the torch. Goal wise, I don't think he's more he can light the lamp when he wants to. I think he's gonna be more the playmaker guy. He'll get his 30 goals. I think if Rickard Rakell stays on the roster, I think he or Brian Rust are gonna lead the team in scoring.
Yeah.
I think Rakell, he has that potential. He's kind of like, I hate comparing them to the Red Wings, but they're kind of in a somewhat similar situation with the players they've got in a sense. Rakell he has that Lucas Raymond kind of shot, Alex DeBrincat kind of shot, and the ability to find that knack for being in the right spot at the right time. And again, you play with someone like Evgeny Malkin, you're gonna get your chances. So
yeah.
Defense wise, it really depends on. I mean, you look at if Letang can bounce back. It's really going to be between him and Carlson because they're another team that really doesn't have guys behind them that are going to put up 30, 40 points. I mean, I think Carlson's the only player coming back this year defensively that broke 30 or 40 points last year. So I think it's kind of an easy one between him or Letang.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, it was when Carlson wasn't there, you say Letang is the guy,
right?
So, and Carlson might not be there for the next. Who knows? He might not be for the full season, so it could end up being Letang anyway because he won't be on the team. So, let's look at bold predictions. I have some fun ones that I'm gonna throw one in after yours. So what do you got?
I don't know if it's really a bold prediction, but I think they're gonna have a top 3 pick come the end of the season. I think whether it's they get lucky in the lottery, maybe, or the season just doesn't go to plan and come to deadline, you're selling guys off and you're kind of looking even further towards the future, getting those picks or prospects, anything. I think that you're going to see more of a youth infusion as the season progresses, and you're going to see, Crosby's still, like you said, he wants to compete, he wants to be at that level, but I don't think he's going to be able to. I don't want to say carry the load, but he kind of does. He's the standard for Pittsburgh the last 15 years, 18 years. I think it finally gets to the point where they're going to be top 3, top 5 in the draft.
I mean, it is. I think that's bold because the thing is like you say, any team has Crosby. I mean, you're probably going to end up being in that not bad enough to be the bottom.
Right, that's been the problem.
Good enough for the playoffs. So it would be a bold prediction if that ended up happening, especially if they had to win the lottery. My bold prediction is that Arthur Silovs is going to completely take over the number 1 and be, as much as it pains me because he was a Canuck and he won't be doing it in Vancouver, but I think he's going to end up being not a top echelon, but like a legitimate starter for the Penguins this season, not the question mark he is right now. Because I think he has the talent and I want the best for him because he's such a great guy. I mean, his personalities adds so much to a dressing room too, because he's a very upbeat, positive type goaltender too. So I wish him all the best. That's why I want him to succeed. So I think, and he's not in the Western Conference, so whatever.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about that.
He's in the East. It's fine. So as long as he doesn't just shut the Canucks out whenever the Canucks do play him, because he will probably start one of the games, probably the one in Vancouver. That's what's going to happen.
I could see that happening. I mean, like you said, he has the tools. I mean, I think he can build off of last year in Abbotsford and roll it into a strong camp. I just looked at it, like you said, the bold prediction. I went opposite way with it. I could have gone. Well, yeah, I think they could push for a playoff spot. I mean, if things go the way everybody hopes, and if the hockey gods help everything align, you get one last playoff push out of the big three they've got. But I don't know. It's like you said, they've been in that tweener spot for so long, for the last 3 years. They've been in that tweener spot, and I think it's Dubas might finally realize, okay, I want to do right by Crosby and Malkin and Letang and try to keep a team together that can do what we're wanting to do. The ultimate goal, obviously, every year is to be a Stanley Cup team, but at the same time, reality has to set in at some point.
Yeah.
So I mean, it really could go either way. Crosby could light it up and reach 100 points, and these kids could take off and surprise everybody.
And like I say, the division's not a solid. Honestly, it's not a weak one, but it's a very big question mark. You put a big question mark in this division because there's a lot when you're looking at all the teams, and I've now previewed them all. And in every one of them, there's question marks in everyone, except probably the Hurricanes is probably, like I say, the one that doesn't have as much. But there are some things that definitely all the teams have to have things go right for things to go the way they want. So we'll see how the Penguins do this season. All right. Well, thanks, Jordan, for coming on for previewing the Penguins and the Red Wings, of course, before. But we'll see how Pittsburgh does. It's always fun to watch him whenever Crosby's. And savor every time you watch this guy, because not many more years is going to be in the league. And that same thing with Ovechkin. I mean, man, those two guys being out of the league, it's kind of unfathomable right now because they've been in so long and so many exciting moments. So
it's crazy
watching another season for Crosby.
Crazy watching the guys that you grew up like idolizing and watching, and they're at the end of their careers. Well, now you got a kid that's 18. He's like 12 years younger than I am. But he's not ready to take the league over yet. We still got these guys. Let them have it a little bit longer.
It's coming, and we'll watch as much as we can. But make sure to check out everything at thehockeywriters.com. We got great preview content out there already. We've got other videos to watch. Lots of teams already have them out. We're closing in on the rest of them coming out. So stay tuned for all 32. Eventually we'll have those up. But until our next one, we'll see you next time.